We say we love each other. What goes into this love thing that we're talking about? Is it just a lip service? Is it just a feeling, the butterflies that flutters in our bellies? That's what we call love. Or love is actually something that is actionable. Hello, and if you're new here, I warmly welcome you. If you're returning, I just want to say thank you for stopping by. Hello. Today, I want us to talk about the kind of love that lasts, being it's Valentine's week. As we celebrate love, the beautiful thing called love, let's just dive into this topic. Do you know that some of the top causes of conflict in any marriage includes things like money or finances, communication, that's a big one, infidelity, and also selfishness. In certain instances, these conflicts, if unresolved, can lead to divorce. And it's not surprising that a whopping 50% of all marriages end up in divorce. Anytime I hear about these statistics, it bleeds my heart. I feel like marriage is such a beautiful thing, and I just hope and pray that everybody would enjoy the beauty of love, the beauty of marriage as God prescribed. So yes, 50% of all marriages end up in divorce, and there's a lot of conflict arising in a lot of marriages. Now, what if I told you there's a solution? Do you want to hear about it? Then stick with me. If you're finding value in my videos, do me a favor by hitting the subscription button and also the notification bell so that when I upload any video, you'll be the first one to be notified. As I mentioned earlier on, we see now a lot of families falling apart. Sometimes couples may be together, but you can tell they're just being together for the sake of the kids, or just because they don't want people to talk about them. They are really not enjoying their marriage. But guess what? The solution to this issue of conflict in marriage, rising divorce and all that, is spelled out in this simple 4-letter word: love. Love. What do I mean by that? We all know that every marriage is based on love, but let's discuss the intricacies, the nitty-gritties, the details of the kind of love that we are talking about, because love often is overrated. I believe every couple loves themselves or claims to love themselves, but if love is really reigning, then we shouldn't be seeing divorce, we shouldn't be seeing conflicts arising, unresolved conflicts that escalate and all of that. So what is love? Let's go back to the old and the most powerful book. It defines love so clearly. 1 Corinthians 13. 1 Corinthians 13, 4. It says, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. And it keeps no record of wrongs. And I'm here and I'm asking, before a couple decides to get married, they say they love each other, and they do. Do they really sit down? Do people really sit down? Or even couples that are already married, do they sit down to really think and ask? We say we love each other. What goes into this love thing that we're talking about? Is it just a lip service? Is it just a feeling, the butterflies that flutters in our bellies? That's what we call love. Or love is actually something that is actionable. This is the definition of love. And this is actually the description that I put forth, or this scripture is the solution to the conflicts that we see in our marriages, and obviously the skyrocketing rates of divorce. So let me just break it down so we understand what I am talking about. I think I began by saying that 4 of the top causes of conflict and obviously divorce in marriages is money, communication, infidelity, and selfishness. Money is the root of all evil. It did not say anything at all is the root of all evil. It says money. That should let you know that once you get married, you need to pay attention to your finances. You need to be very careful about how both of you manage finances, because if you are not careful, even though money is a good thing, it can lead you into evil. It can lead you into doing something evil. It can end up messing up your marriage. And the reason why marriage is an issue in most marriages is because even though the couple may say we love each other, they have not demonstrated the meaning of love in the way of self-sacrificing and not being self-seeking. So one of the descriptions of love is that love is what? Not self-seeking. But if a couple gets into the marriage and we are seeking things for ourselves, we are focusing on ourselves, we want to just spend on ourselves, we want to build a house by ourselves and for ourselves, we don't want our spouses to enjoy. We just want to do everything by ourselves. And this is my money and it's not your money. I work for it and all of that. It can lead to a lot of conflict. So the way to resolve this conflict is when we allow ourselves not to be self-seeking, but to seek for the interest of our spouses. Then let me mention selfishness. Selfishness in any marriage will not take that marriage too far. It's connected to the self-seeking that I was talking about. For you to marry and for you to be happy, the husband has to decide that my goal in this marriage is to make my wife happy. And then the wife has to decide that my goal in this marriage is to make my husband happy. So just imagine if each of you has decided to make each other happy. In the end, each of you is trying your best and doing the things, responding to the needs of the other party. So you are making your husband happy and he's also making you happy. That is selfless love. That is the kind of love that we need. So if we claim to love each other in the marriage, then we have to make sure that we get rid of selfishness and we begin or increase the level of selfless love that we demonstrate for each other. So in marriages, we shouldn't be self-seeking. So self-seeking is the point that I raise here. To get rid of selfishness, we shouldn't be self-seeking, but we should love selflessly. Infidelity. In 1 Corinthians that I read, it says that love does not dishonor others. So sometimes we claim we love each other. If you love your spouse, you will not dishonor your spouse. Going in for another guy, going behind your husband, saying things about your wife and your husband to another person. Belittling your husband or your husband to another person. That is not okay. That is dishonoring your spouse. Or going behind and having an affair, that is dishonoring the marital bed. God does not approve of that. And so if we love each other, everything we do, it doesn't even have to come to the extent of infidelity, but even the way we relate to each other and all that has to show that we honor each other and we respect each other. And the last one that I want to touch on is communication. That is the biggest one. You know, in every marriage, poor communication connects to a lot of things. If you don't communicate well, if you don't communicate appropriately, it leads to a lot of resentment and bitterness and distrust and disloyalty and everything. You could end up having marital issues. If you don't communicate well, you may have monetary issues. So finances can be an issue. Infidelity could be an issue. So communication is the biggest one. And you realize because communication is the biggest one, from 1 Corinthians 13, the things that I listed as the descriptors of love, communication is on top. It wins hands down. And so here it says love is patient. To be able to love in a way that you communicate with your spouse, you have to be patient. If you're not patient, you'll be yelling on your spouse, you'll be raising your voice, you'll be saying hurtful words to your spouse without really thinking deeply about it before you speak. It says love is kind. If you're kind to somebody, you would be respectful in the way you communicate with them. It also says that it does not boast or it's not prideful. when we are communicating, especially when we are resolving conflict and we are talking through it, if you have the tendency to be prideful, it's difficult for you to accept when you are wrong. And so even if you know and you know and you know that you're wrong, you'll be like, no. For some of us, it's so hard for us to accept and say, honey, I'm sorry, I did not do the right thing. Sorry is not part of our vocabulary. That means that we are not demonstrating the kind of love that we claim that we love our spouses with. Another thing I see in the list is not easily angered. If you love your spouse, we have to work on our tempers, and you don't have to be easily angered. I think it's connected to the patience that I mentioned. Communication wins hands down. And so even though all the other factors are very important, once you work on your communication, once you're patient, once you are kind, once you are gracious, once you are empathetic, once you are graceful, once you are understanding in your communication, it goes a long way in solving, if not all, the major aspects of your marriage that you could potentially have issues with. Personally, in my marriage, communication has been such a blessing. Good communication, I mean. We have an open line. We talk about everything, me and my husband. Even when we are not together, we are on the line. We talk as if we are in a relationship. You know what I mean? Like sometimes when we get married, the communication line ceases, but it's not supposed to be so. Because we talk through everything, there's transparency. There's nothing like distrust or misunderstanding and all of that. It's such a blessing to me to have a husband who I can talk to freely. And I recommend the same to you. But you can only talk to your husband or your wife in this free way and free-flowing way when you master the act of being patient, being kind, not being easily angered, not being prideful, but being humble in your disposition, so that when you meet to talk, we are talking with grace, we are talking with affection, we are talking with understanding, and we are talking to win. I'm praying that the Lord will be with us and help us, that even as we all claim and we know, or we want to love our spouses, we will speak the love language well according to 1 Corinthians 13. And as we do, may the Lord grant us the grace, and may He enrich our marriages. God bless you.